Well, welcome, fellow Toastmasters. So I'm just going to take a moment to connect firstly with myself and with my lovely audience out here, the faces I can see beyond the camera, and also with the camera audience itself. Because my speech today is all about connection. And I am going to talk about climate change, but from a different angle. And there's two key ideas that I want to put through to you today, followed by some questions. And the first idea is about how we're actually all connected. We're connected between ourselves, we're connected to living Earth and everything that lives on it. And I'm going to draw on a little bit of energy science information that brings new knowledge to us and challenges us to step up at this time. Not just in physical ways, but also at the energetic level. And the second idea I want to put to you is to suggest that as I have become more and more aware as I've moved into energy healing work, that the human body manifests at the physical level last. So the symptoms and physical things that we experience are a sign of imbalance. And that these symptoms are actually our bodies trying to tell us that we need to listen, that we're out of balance in some way, and that we need to do something. And I'm suggesting that the Earth is actually doing the same thing, and that the things that we're experiencing now, the upheavals and the extremes, are all part of the Earth calling out for our attention, telling us that it's out of balance and that we need to do something. But first, I'm just going to divert to a couple of experiences that I've had personally. These both actually happened at a workshop that I was at a few years ago, even though it wasn't a workshop based on energy healing. But these experiences both were really pivotal in helping to open my eyes to the energy level and what's happening at that level. So the first experience was when there was a woman at the morning tea break at this particular workshop who was having excruciating back pain. And by the time the morning tea break came, her pain was so bad that she didn't feel that she could continue in the workshop. And there just happened to be another woman at the workshop who was an energy healer. And I watched her within minutes, and I actually physically watched her moving her hands and feeling this energy of this woman and her back. And in a few minutes, the back pain was completely gone, completely gone. So that was really astonishing to me. I'd never seen anything like that before. And the pain remained gone for the rest of the day, and I couldn't say beyond that. The second incident actually happened, funnily enough, at the same workshop. And in the afternoon, the facilitator said that she had received a message that she was to receive an energy healing. And she was to receive it from two or so participants in the workshop. And then she looked directly at me and she said to me, "You know what you need to do." And I found that I did. So I rose up out of my chair and I walked across to her in the center of the room and I put my hand on her heart. And when I did that, I felt this huge surge of energy pouring through me. And it just kept going for several minutes. And I just left my hand there on her heart. And then when it died away, I went back and sat in my seat. And I can tell you, I was completely shaken. I had no idea what had just happened. It was so different from anything I'd ever experienced before. But these experiences, along with others since, have really shown me that there is far more happening at the energetic level than we know or understand or can see at this time. So I'm just going to turn now to the energy sciences. They've ramped up a lot since the early 2000s. They are really making rapid progress. And science is now beginning to demonstrate some of the things that are happening at this energetic level. And they're starting to communicate it in a way and measure it in a way that actually we can relate to, especially in the Western world when we've gone down this kind of objective scientific line. And so now this science is starting to actually connect to us and speak to us in a way that we can actually relate to. So it's very exciting times. We're on the brink of something really amazing. So the new big science really is quantum physics. And quantum physics has completely shifted the goalposts. In fact, it's taken us into a whole new game. And we're just now starting to try and work out the rules. So the Eastern cultures have tended to bring their information and their wisdom and their knowledge through all of the different generations. And so they still hold a lot of this holistic understanding in their cultures today. Whereas in the West, we went off on a different tangent. And so now we're racing to catch up because we're trying to explain stuff that's been there all along, but trying to explain it in a scientific way. So it's a really big paradigm shift for us in the West. And we're trying very hard to catch up. So we follow the Newtonian science path, and that's what Western medicine is actually based on. And that says everything is matter. So it's solid. I'm solid. This umbrella's solid. The people in my audience, we're all solid. And the chairs, the tables, everything around us is all separate solid objects. And the separate part's important too. That we're actually separate from each other. I'm separate from you, you're separate from the chair. There's this idea of separateness. But quantum physics has just turned this on its head completely. And it says, no, actually, everything, even the inanimate objects and us and everything else is all energy. At the end of the day, it all breaks down to energy. And the atoms in the human body are actually broken down to protons and neurons, and then they break down to little whirlpools of energy at the invisible level. Everything is energy, and because everything is energy, it's all interconnected. So there isn't this whole idea of separateness that we've all come to believe, because that's what we see with our eyes. But that's not the reality at the energetic level. Everything, all of us, we're all interconnected. So you can see the limitations of the Newtonian philosophy, because here we've been trying to fix everything at the physical level, trying to solve the problems, fix the body, all at this physical level. But the imbalances aren't happening at the physical level. The imbalances happen at the energetic level. Have you ever wondered, for example, why is it that when a young child hurts themselves, that you immediately just go and put your hand on the sore place? Why do you do that? I don't even know if it's conscious that we actually do that. It's instinctual. We just do it. Why do we do it? Because it's bringing healing energy, which we can all do at a basic level. We can all bring healing energy to that hurt place. We just don't know that we're doing it. I want to now return just to the idea of connectivity. It's very well established that we are connected to the magnetic fields of the earth, of the moons, of the sun, our emotions, our hormones, the cycles that we experience. We're very well connected in at the planetary level. What you may not know is that now the vibrational frequency of the heart can be measured 3 feet out from our hearts. The vibrational frequency of the brain is only a few inches out. The heart is definitely the ruling body. What's very interesting about that, however, is that the vibrational frequency of the heart, when it's in coherence, which is a state of stability, is the same frequency as the primary frequency of Earth itself. And I find that absolutely astonishing. So you see, we are connected. We are connected to Earth, and Earth is connected to us. And when we are actually experiencing positive emotions, it has also been measured that we are in this state of coherence. And when we're in this stable state of coherence, we're in a very efficient, self-regulating, self-balancing, self-healing situation. When we're feeling negative emotions, we're in the opposite state. We're in a state of incoherence, and so we're not in a self-regulating, self-healing state at all. You can start to see some of the implications of this. And what's also interesting is that our emotions have different vibrational frequencies. So happiness, for example, looks different to generosity. They have different frequencies. Anger has a different frequency to frustration. They're all different. And what researchers are saying is that information is actually being carried on the energy waves. And that's not so weird when you think about the fact that that must be happening when it comes to all of our phones and devices and things. Information must be being carried on the energy waves because that's how radios work, that's how our phones work, that's how the Skype and Zoom and everything work. So information is transferred that way. And what the researchers are suggesting is that this is happening for Earth itself as well, that Earth and the vibrational frequencies and magnetic fields that are put out by Earth are carrying information. So we see that there's this collective energy field that we're all part of and we're all feeding into. So it's interesting when you think about, for example, the research that's been done on meditating groups and how groups or large groups of people can be meditating in one location, and the positive effects of that meditating group go far, far, far wider than the group itself as well geographically, and the results that are achieved beyond that group. So how is that happening? How is that happening if the information, the meditational vibration, isn't actually sending out information on the energy waves? And another example of this is the, just lost that one for a sec, won't be a second. Oh yes, there's distance healing. Distance healing. Now I could send healing to somebody somewhere else entirely in the world. And again, research has shown this to be very effective, that the distance healing is actually working. And how again is that working if there isn't information being carried on these energy waves? So you can see, again, that this is a collective energy field that we all share, and the research is really starting to tell us this. And you might be thinking, well, oh gosh, if that means I have to be positive all the time to put out all these positive energy waves, well, I can understand that might seem a little hard because we're all human after all. And there is a little bit more to this. And we also need to remember that actually we're putting out vibrational frequencies with our subconscious as well as with our conscious mind. But I'm not going to go any more into that today because that's a whole nother speech. But what we do want to just realize and recognize for this today is this whole idea that we share this collective energy field and that we're all contributing to it and that we're all affected by it. So I just want to expand more now on this idea of the earth itself manifesting imbalance at the physical level. So I'm just going to go back a step. Western medicine, the focus has always been on the physical body. But the truth is, we are not just physical bodies. We are mental, emotional, spiritual, conscious, subconscious, physical, and energetic. So it's really that we're interconnected. And if we're just looking at dealing with things always on the physical level, then we're really not addressing what's really going on. And that our bodies do speak to us through physical symptoms. Research has shown that 80, 90, even more % of our physical issues and illnesses have an emotional basis to them. Our bodies hold on to our emotional baggage. And if we don't clear the emotional baggage, then over time, the physical symptoms, sickness, injuries, etc. start to appear. And I've been very surprised myself as I've moved further into this energy healing work, how magically physical issues and symptoms can just go so quickly when you actually clear what's happening underneath at that emotional level. So really, it's our body's red light warning system. It's our body saying, hey, listen, I'm out of balance in some way and I need you to do something to bring me back into a state of coherence so that my body's self-healing systems can kick in. And we need to do things, of course, to help create those conditions. We need to maybe look at the external environment, diet, exercise, lifestyle. But we really importantly need to look at the internal environment of our bodies and our whole beings. We need to look at reducing that deeply held stress, the stress that we hang on to from the memories and the negative experiences that we've had in childhood and through into adulthood. All of those negative experiences that get triggered so easily, they sit with us, and until we actually take action to clear those, then they're just there waiting to be triggered. And none of that is good for our immune systems and for our health, because it takes us out of a state of being in coherence, being in balance. So what I'm suggesting today is that whilst this, I believe, happens at the individual level, that this is actually happening at the earth level. That the earth is doing the same very thing, but on a much larger scale. That the symptoms of imbalance that we're seeing, the floods, the fires, the weather conditions that are so extreme, the devastation of the natural habitats, the extinction of species, I see these all as symptoms, even I would say coronavirus, all symptoms of the Earth's imbalance. And this is because we have exploited, we have disrespected, and we have not coexisted with nature. This is the Earth's red light warning system. And it is saying very loudly and clearly to us, and I believe it has been for some time now, we need to wake up and start listening, because that red light is flashing, and it's flashing brighter and faster. So we need to really start to listen. So the questions that I want to finish with and leave you with today is, are you ready to see yourself, others, the world, and all living things on it as an interconnected, shared energy field that we're all part of, that we all influence? Are you hearing that Earth is calling us loudly now to remove the blocks, to support it, to come back into a state of balance, into a state of coherent self-healing? And are you willing to do your part, not only in practical ways like not using plastic and recycling, and in ways that you can influence what's happening in the world from the position that you hold in the world, but energetically? Are you open to exploring energetically how you can contribute more positively by clearing the negative stuff that you may be holding and moving into this contribution in a positive way to our collective energy field? I believe it's up to each one of us to do something. We can do it collectively, but we each have to do it individually first. Thank you.